All right, so today we're diving headfirst into something pretty incredible,
Definitely.
the future of medicine. And you know those futuristic medical advancements you see in
I
movies?
think so, yeah.
This is like that, but in real life. We're
Yeah.
talking about BiomedGPT. Have you heard about
Oh,
this?
yeah. It's a game changer.
Okay, so for our listeners who haven't stumbled upon this yet, break it down for us. What's the big deal with BiomedGPT?
It's the first open source, lightweight AI, and it's a generalist for biomedical tasks.
Right.
I mean, that's a mouthful.
It is, yeah.
But it's a big deal because it means that instead of having an AI that can only do one thing,
Right.
this one can kind of do it all.
Okay, so most AI we hear about is like really good at one thing. Like it can play chess or it can write you a poem, but
Like, very specific.
this is like the multi-talented friend. Like,
Exactly. It's like that friend who's good at everything.
yeah. Can you give us an example?
So you give it a medical report to analyze, no problem.
Yeah.
Show it a medical image and ask it to spot a tiny detail. It's on it. It can even take a stab at suggesting possible treatments based on what it's learned. It's wild.
So it's reading medical reports, it's looking at x-rays.
Yeah. And it's not just looking, it's understanding.
Okay, hold on. How does it actually do that? Because we're talking about understanding complex medical images and like deciphering doctor handwriting, which is a superpower in itself.
It's true. It's like it's got a superpower.
Yeah.
It's basically like feeding a supercomputer. Every medical textbook, every journal article, every scan ever created, that's how it learns.
So it's not just seeing a picture of a broken bone,
No.
it's understanding what a fracture is.
It understands the different types of fractures, how they're described in medical reports, what they mean for treatment. It's incredible.
So it's making connections that even like a first-year medical student might miss.
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, obviously, it's still under development, but the potential is mind-blowing.
Okay, this is blowing my mind a little bit.
It's really something.
Yeah, but I'm also hearing a but coming here. What's the catch?
Well, it's important to remember that AI, even the most advanced AI, it's still a work in progress.
Okay.
It's not perfect. It's going to make mistakes.
Right.
But the research that's been done already is pretty amazing.
Okay. Give me some highlights. What are we talking about here?
They tested it on 25 different medical tasks. 25. And it achieves state-of-the-art results on 16 of them.
Okay, so it's acing more than half of the tests.
Way more. And get this, one of the things it was really good at was medical visual question answering. So that's basically showing it a medical image and asking it a question about it.
Oh, wow.
And it had a ridiculously low error rate, like 3.8%.
So it has a photographic memory for these images.
And it understands those like really specific questions that sometimes even doctors find tricky.
That's seriously impressive.
It is.
Mhm.
And here's the thing. It manages to do all of this while being what they call computationally lightweight,
Okay.
which means it doesn't need a supercomputer to run. It's more accessible,
Right.
which is huge for getting it out there.
Yeah, because not every hospital has like a supercomputer just lying around.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued, but let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How does this actually help patients?
Let's start with radiology. This is a field that relies heavily on image analysis, right? So you can imagine how helpful it would be for a radiologist to have an AI assistant helping them analyze those complex images.
Right, instead of just staring at a screen for hours on end.
Exactly. And then potentially flagging things, helping generate reports, could be a game changer.
Okay, so we're talking about AI lending a hand, or I guess an algorithm, to radiologists. Tell me more about this. Like, what are the specifics of how it could help?
Okay, so we're talking about AI lending a hand, or I guess an algorithm, to radiologists. Tell me more about this. Like, what are the specifics of how it could help?
Well, think about it. Radiologists spend hours looking at these super complex images, right?
Trying to spot the tiniest little detail.
Exactly. And sometimes those details can be easy to miss, even for a trained eye. Yeah, especially if they're tired or have been looking at images for too long.
Exactly. That's where BiomedGPT comes in. It can analyze those images right alongside the radiologist and flag anything that looks off.
So it's like a second pair of eyes.
More like a second pair of superpowered eyes, honestly. It can pick up on things that even experienced radiologists might overlook.
That's kind of amazing, but also kind of scary, right? I mean, are we really ready to trust AI with that kind of responsibility?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And the answer is not entirely, at
Yeah.
least not yet. But that's the thing. We're not talking about replacing radiologists altogether.
Okay, so it's more about giving them a tool.
Exactly. It's a tool to help them be even better at what they do. It's like giving a carpenter a more precise saw.
I like that analogy.
It's not replacing their skill. it's enhancing it. And they've actually done some pretty cool studies on this, where they had radiologists evaluate BiomedGPT's performance on different tasks.
Like what kind of tasks?
Analyzing images, answering questions about those images, even generating parts of those really detailed radiology reports.
Oh, wow. And how did it do? Spill the tea.
Okay, get this. In some of those cases, it actually outperformed other state-of-the-art AI models.
Really?
Yeah. And this is the kicker. When it came to generating parts of those radiology reports, the super technical ones.
Oh, yeah. Those can be like reading another language.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But BiomedGPT was able to do it with an accuracy that was comparable to actual human radiologists.
Wow. So it's writing these reports just as well as a trained professional.
Pretty much. It's still early days, but the potential is huge.
Yeah, that's kind of mind-blowing.
Right. And think about it. This could have a massive impact on healthcare, especially in areas where there aren't enough radiologists.
No, we're talking about reducing wait times, maybe catching things earlier.
Exactly. Potentially even preventing errors.
Okay, I'm seeing the potential here, but we've been talking a lot about radiology. Are there other areas in medicine where BiomedGPT could be a game changer?
Absolutely. Radiology is just the tip of the iceberg, really. Researchers are exploring its potential in a ton of different areas, like personalizing treatment plans, for example.
So, based on a patient's specific needs?
Exactly. It could also help with things like finding the best clinical trials for patients.
Wow. It's like this AI has thought of everything.
It's getting there. It could even help summarize those really long conversations that doctors have with their patients, which would be super helpful for record keeping.
It's like having a medical AI Swiss Army knife.
That's a perfect way to put it. And here's another thing that's super cool. The fact that it's open source.
Okay, we've mentioned that a few times, but I feel like we haven't really unpacked why that's such a big deal. So break it down for us one more time. Why is this open source thing so important?
Okay, so imagine if the instructions for building a groundbreaking new medical device were just freely available to anyone who wanted to use them. That's basically what open source means in this context.
So instead of one company or institution owning this technology,
it's out there for everyone. Researchers, developers, even just curious minds who want to tinker around.
That's amazing. It kind of democratizes access to this cutting-edge AI.
Exactly. It fosters collaboration. It speeds up innovation. It's a game changer.
It's like taking the lid off the AI development process and saying, come on in, everyone. Let's build the future of medicine together.
Exactly. It's a really exciting time.
It is exciting. But with any new and powerful technology, there are always going to be challenges and risks. What are some of the things we need to be cautious about as we venture further into this world of AI-powered healthcare?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It's great to be excited about the potential here, but we also need to be smart about how we approach it. We need to make sure we're not moving too fast.
Okay, so a measured approach is key.
Absolutely. We need to thoroughly test and refine this technology before we start implementing it everywhere.
Right, because we're talking about people's lives here.
Exactly. We need to make sure that BiomedGPT is truly ready for prime time, that it's reliable, that it's safe.
So what else should we be keeping in mind as these AI models become more sophisticated and more integrated into healthcare? It's like we're giving doctors this incredibly powerful toolkit, but we need to make sure they know how to use all the tools properly, right?
Right. And that we're giving them the right support and training. It's not enough to just hand them this technology and say, okay, go solve everything.
Exactly. Because even with the best tools in the world, you can still mess things up if you don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. We need to be really thoughtful about how we integrate these AI models into existing workflows, how we train healthcare professionals to use them effectively and safely, and how we address any unexpected issues that might come up. Because there are always going to be unexpected issues, right?
Oh, absolutely. And when it comes to healthcare, those unexpected issues can have real consequences. We're not just talking about a computer crashing. We're talking about people's health.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which brings us to another really important point, which is patient trust.
Okay, yeah. Because if I'm going to the doctor and I know they're using AI to help with my diagnosis or treatment, I want to know that that AI is trustworthy.
Right. And you want to understand how it works, what its limitations are.
Yeah, like don't just tell me the AI says you need this. Explain it to me.
Exactly. It's about transparency and communication. Patients need to be active participants in their own healthcare, even as AI takes on a larger role.
So how do we balance this? Because it feels like we're on the verge of a major shift in healthcare. AI is becoming more powerful, more sophisticated, more integrated into everything. Where do we go from here?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I don't think there's an easy answer. But if there's one thing I'm certain of, it's that this is going to be a fascinating journey.
It's like we're holding a compass, but the needle is spinning wildly.
It is a little like that, yeah.
Like, we know things are changing, but we don't know exactly where we're going to end up. But hey, that's part of the adventure, right?
Absolutely. And it's an adventure that requires us to be curious, to be open to new possibilities, but also to be cautious and thoughtful.
So to everyone listening out there, and we know you're out there because you're awesome, we want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Does AI in medicine excite you? Does it scare you? Let us know. Keep those brain gears turning, because the future of healthcare is being written right now, and it's up to all of us to shape it in a way that benefits everyone.
All right, everyone, that's it for today's deep dive into the world of BiomedGPT and the future of AI in medicine. We hope you enjoyed the journey. Until next time, stay curious.